Hey Rob, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
You're live on the pits of Metalcast. So we got now, Rob. You're on the tour right now with UFO and Sebastian Bach too. Are you doing both bands?
No, I had to jump off Bach about a week ago to start the UFO tour. How's my volume? Everything sound okay?
Volume sounds great.
Okay, good. Yeah, I had to jump off, and now I'm on the UFO tour, and we're doing shows with a lot of other bands. Last night was with Blue Oyster Cult. We started with Armored Saint. After that was Last in Line, and then we have Jared James Nichols for on a couple shows in the Chicago area, St. Charles.
Yeah, I know you had some sold out shows in California with Armored Saint.
Yeah. The tour's doing very well. I mean, it's UFOs is so good live, so I'm not surprised.
And it's the 50th anniversary of UFO.
Yeah, yeah,
Can't believe it's been going 50 years, and you've been in there 11 years already.
yeah. I'd say about since 2008. So yeah, I've been here for a little while, and I saw them when I was a kid. So so I've known about them for a bunch of the years.
So it
Definitely.
had to been like a dream come true to start playing bass with that band after seeing them as a kid and knowing who they are and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great gig for any bass player, but it was extra special for me because it was a band that meant a lot to me in my formative years. So yeah, it really is incredible, and I like to feel that I do the job correctly and I add something. So you know, I've been doing this for a while too, so I had to learn something over the years.
Yeah.
I had to have learned something.
Yeah, I know when I was a little kid growing up at home when I was about, 3 or 4, my brother was 9 years older than me. He was always blasting UFO music, so that got me into UFO when I was a little kid
Where are you located?
in Chicago.
Oh yeah. So Chicago's obviously a big area for UFO. We have the two shows there at the Arcada in St. Charles. They're both sold out. As I mentioned, Jared James Nichols is opening those two shows only. So yeah, I can't wait to get to the Chicago area. It's amazing.
Yeah, my brother was lucky enough to be at the show where they recorded Strangers in the Night live.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, Chicago Amphitheater.
Uh huh.
So now, Sebastian Bach, you've been with that band for 13 years?
Yeah, I started in 2008. So no, I started in 2005. My mistake. So yeah, at least 13 years. And I knew Baz even before then. I recorded with him when he was in Skid Row. He was doing like a solo EP, and I played bass on that with Andy McCoy and Michael Monroe from Hanoi Rocks. So yeah, I've been friends with him for a long time. He liked Spread Eagle when we came out, and he said some really nice things in the press about us, which was really needed and appreciated because you know how hard it is for any band to get noticed.
Yeah. Now, I know on the Sebastian Bach tour, you guys were doing the whole first album in its entirety.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, because I was out with Spread Eagle when when that record when the debut Skid Row record came out, I was working pretty hard with Spread Eagle. Just kind of that band was forming, and so I wasn't really that dialed into Skid Row. Of course, they were all over MTV with the singles, so I saw those, but I didn't know a bunch of songs on the record. I wasn't familiar with them. So it was really interesting just learning the whole record, and it was fun. It was really fun. Some songs, I mean, I learned some things by doing that. I think, for instance, Clock Strikes Midnight should have been in our set all along, all these years, and I don't know why it wasn't because it really kicks ass live. But I guess maybe we just had to do it live for me to realize that, you know. And I hope he keeps that in the set in the future. So yeah, and I also realized that Slave to the Grind is much, 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 much heavier than the debut record.
Yes.
Because when you separate them, you start to see the actual characteristics of them, and yeah, they got heavy on Slave.
Oh yeah,
got really heavy on Slave.
Oh yeah, they got that real crunchy guitar going on the second Slave to the Grind.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was not able to catch you with Sebastian Bach. When you guys, I know you guys played the Brower House in Lombard, Illinois. I missed that show.
Yeah, it was. I think it was sold out, but it was definitely. Yeah, it was sold out. That was a crazy show. It was so hot that there was like water, like just steam all over the floor, all over the stage. It was kind of dangerous, actually.
Wow.
Everything was wet because there was so many people packed in there. You know, it was like a '70s show. But it was great. The band was really on, and we had fun. Met some really nice people afterwards. It was cool.
Now with UFO, you've done 2 albums with them. 2015, The Conspiracy Stars, and 2017, The Salentino Cuts.
Yes, I played on both those records, and I co-wrote 3 songs on Conspiracy of Stars.
And then Spread Eagle, you guys have anything new being worked on?
Well, no, we just released our new record, Subway to the Stars, which we're really proud of, and it's actually getting the best reviews of all 3 of our albums. For those who don't know the band as well, we were out on MCA Universal in the 1990s. We released 2 records, and now we just released our new record, Subway to the Stars, on Frontiers. And I produced it, and we're really proud of it. So the next step is to go out and support it. We're routing a tour right now, a month-long tour for 2020, and we can't wait. Our fans have waited, because we went 26 years or something like that, 24 years in between albums. So it's just amazing that our fans have stuck by us that long, and they're still there waiting for us, and we really appreciate it. So now the plan is to get the live show just amazing and take it across the world. And so we'll start on that soon. And we got a great booking agent, and that'll be the plan. And then after we tour, then we'll start thinking about new music, and we will do a new record at some point, absolutely. But we're still enjoying this one too much to skim over it.
Now with Spread Eagle, did you ever play the club The Thirsty Whale in Illinois?
Maybe. I mean, we played in Chicago, definitely.
I think
I forget where.
Yeah, I think I remember you guys playing at the Thirsty Whale. It was like a big.
Maybe, yeah.
It was a big rock club. They closed down though, but there was always a lot of 80s hair bands all the time.
Yeah, I remember. I remember the venue. I just don't remember the name. But yeah, at some point I had to get all the gigs we did. I had to get all the fans to write in and tell us the gigs they were at, so I can kind of make an itinerary. I've done that with other bands. I just didn't do it with Spread back then. So I'm curious to see all the places we played. But yeah, Chicago's, obviously an incredible rock and roll town, and we can't wait to play there. I can't wait to play there. I guess it's next week or something. I don't know. It'll be soon coming up with UFO. But I can't wait to play there with Spread Eagle also.
Now, you're also playing in another band, Of Earth?
Well, Of Earth is, yeah, the answer is yes. But Of Earth is a band that's really different. It's more like a 70s Pink Floyd kind of band. It's got loud guitars, but it also has Hammond organs, and it's recorded all analog to tape, and so it's a different thing I do to stretch out, just because my tastes are very varied. It still rocks completely, but it's not as focused on rocking the whole time. And I do that. My cousin Rick Luca from Spread Eagle played drums on it, and so we do that when we can. But to be honest, being in all these bands, I have to just prioritize, because I just don't. I don't want to do things just to do them. If I'm going to do something, I do it well. And at this moment, to be honest, I can only do 3 bands well, and the 4th is just pushing it over the edge where I can't spend the quality time I'd like to on it. So Of Earth will just have to wait a little while till some time opens up. But it's still there, yes, and it's a great band, and you can find us online on Bandcamp. It's really beautiful songs, really stunning stuff.
All right, now let's touch base a little bit on your musical history. What age did you start playing the bass?
Well, I started playing guitar kind of late for these days. You know, kids are starting so young. I started playing guitar at 15, and I played like flute and stuff like that. And then I went to Berklee College of Music for guitar, and I met Paul DiBartolo, who was the original guitarist in Spread Eagle, and he was doing really well in the clubs, and so I met him because it was just kind of exciting, and he was a cool guy. And there was a lot of, they were drawing really well. So it was always like, a good party, whatever. A good party always surrounded Paul, or followed Paul. So at some point after we became friends, he told me they were looking for a bass player, and I was pretty focused on guitar. I'd never played bass, and I had no intention of playing bass. But he told me they were definitely going to get rid of their bassist, and they wanted me to be the guy. So I said, I'll try it out and, spend a little time on it and see how it goes. But I really fell in love with it very quickly, much more than guitar. So I didn't plan on switching over permanently. I still play a little guitar, but I really connected with it much better. So it was pretty obvious to me that was going to become my main instrument. And I basically learned how to play on stage in front of people because I had never done it, and they had gigs lined up, and they were popular, so they were always gigging. And, Paul and I, we got Tommy on drums, Tommy Gallo, and then it morphed into Spread Eagle. So basically learned how to play bass in front of people on stage. And I like it that way because it didn't leave much room for unnecessary playing, and unnecessary noodling that doesn't really serve the function of the bass, especially in a stripped down band like we had the Van Halen formula, guitar, bass, drums, and vocalist out front, and a lot of harmonies, but bassists singing high harmonies. So there's not a lot of room for mistakes, meaning mistakes of directional mistakes, of like the type of playing that's just doesn't push a band further in a heavy way. So I think that was a blessing that I didn't have time to learn the instrument sitting on the edge of a bed and noodling on a lot of stuff that's unnecessary.
So when you first started playing guitar, did you take lessons or were you self-taught?
Both. I self-taught for a while, and I took lessons from a guy named Ron DeNest in Delaware. I grew up in Delaware, then moved to Boston, then moved to New York City. So Ron DeNest was a great teacher in the Delaware area, and he got me ready for Berklee. I told him I wanted to go to music school, and he told me he had gotten a kid into Berklee like a year before I told him that. And he said, I have a method that will definitely get you in. If you want to learn it, I feel you can get in. It'll take you a year to master this method. Not master guitar by any means, but master this method that he was going to teach me that would basically be an audition, because then I had to record it all and submit it. So I took... I switched gears from what he had been teaching me to this method, and we worked on it for a year, and I got in, just like he said. And one thing led to another.
So was Spread Eagle your first band?
Yeah, the band that morphed into Spread Eagle was my first real band. I was in cover bands as a kid, playing guitar in Delaware. They weren't real bands, but they were fun.
Now, have you played on any other projects throughout the years?
Yeah, I did that EP with Baz in the '90s when he was in Skids, and then I think it was only released in Japan or something because I don't think the band wanted him to venture out on his own. But let me see, I recorded some stuff on a recent Vinnie Moore album. Recorded a couple songs on that. Some things I'd rather not mention because they weren't cool people.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always recording, but I guess between my bands, now that you mentioned it, UFO and Spread Eagle and Of Earth, that's most of the recording that I've done, which is quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, it's got to be awesome to play with a guitarist extraordinaire like Vinnie Moore.
Yeah, Vinnie Moore and I grew up in the same city, Wilmington, Delaware. He was about a 15-minute car ride away from me, and I'd never met him till I started playing in UFO. However, when we were kids and in high school, he was famous amongst kids. You know, even before he did his Shrapnel Records stuff, before he was discovered, he was famous in Delaware, and all the kids would talk about him. So I knew of him at a very early age. But I didn't meet him until 2008, and he's the nicest, most humble, really cool guy. And man, does he play! He certainly rips. And he's a master of so many styles. It's just great playing with him.
Now, after being in the music business for all the years, what would you consider to be the pros and cons in the music business?
One more time, please.
I said, after being in the music business for all these years, what would you consider to be the pros and the cons?
Pros and the cons. Well, there's a lot. Let's start with the pros. I mean, it's just inspirational to play rock and roll. I think of rock and roll as a high-level art form. You know, whether you want to think of it deeply or just very gut level. It's art to me is something that moves people and makes them react and gets them inspired and makes them think and rock and roll certainly does that. So I realize rock and roll goes through waves of popularity, and right now, as far as radio and etc., mainstream music, rock and roll is not huge, other than a few bands. Most bands are pop or rap or whatever. But I still believe that rock and roll is incredibly important to our culture. So, having said that, some of the pros is, you know, it's so much fun and it's so inspiring, and you might be having a bad day and you play this show and people are so moved by it, and you just keep getting I just keep getting reminded of the power of hard rock, and it's always been such an interest of mine. Like from the first time I heard it, like I was always so moved by rock music and influenced and into it, and just it was so much fun for me. So that's the obvious pro, and also traveling the country is very interesting. It's a lot harder than people realize, but it's very interesting. Right now I'm in St. Louis, and I'm looking out my hotel window. I'm overlooking the Cardinals baseball stadium, which is a really beautiful view. And tomorrow I'll be somewhere else. No, tomorrow I'll be here, but the next day I'll be somewhere else. And yesterday we were in Dallas, Texas, at Gas Monkey Live, which is an incredible, massive venue, one of the best venues in the country. So it's so interesting traveling and meeting all these people and then having them tell you their stories of how your music influenced them or inspired them or helped them. So writing music to me is incredibly important. So that's a big pro, writing songs. So there are some of the pros. Some of the cons is just, like it's a tough business financially. You know, people are always looking to take advantage of you if you don't look out for yourself. You know, rock music is definitely not as popular right now as it had been. As I mentioned, when Spread Eagle was coming up, rock music ruled the planet. You know, it's Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue and Def Leppard. They're all, you know, number one bands. So, you know, it's tougher. It's tougher than people realize. They just, you know, they wouldn't. Fans wouldn't really think of, you know, what some of the cons may be, but it's a little bit of a hard life. But I love it. So those are some pros and cons.
So how important is social media to you?
Well, I despise it, but it's very important because you have to promote your bands, and I don't use it for personal uses. If you're my friend, you can call me or you can email me. But I use it for promoting my music, and it's a necessary evil. You have to do it. So basically, in Spread Eagle, we all, like with the Subway to the Stars album campaign, we all took one format and worked it. For instance, I worked Facebook, and Zeev Shalev, our guitar player, worked Instagram, and we have a webmaster, and she worked Twitter and our website, and Ray West and Rick Luca worked a little bit of everything. So that's how you have to do it, you know.
Yep, social media is a double-edged sword.
Yes, it is. It certainly is.
So how many...
Strange concept, if you think about it. Like, if you told me 10 years ago, or whatever, before MySpace, you know, that there would be platforms where people would just offer up private information, contact information on their homes, like pictures of their homes and their loved ones and their kids. I'd be like, you're crazy. No one would ever do that. That's incredibly dangerous. But they did it willingly, without a fight.
Yeah. So to this day, how many bass guitars do you own, Rob?
I don't have that many. I have about 8 to 10. I used to have a bunch more, but I started feeling like, you know, what's the point of having basses that you don't use? So I got rid of a lot. But I built a website called Vintage Bass World, vintagebassworld.com, and it's the most geekiest bass website. It's awesome, and it's just like 400 web pages and 10,000 or more pictures of just the details of vintage basses. So if you're a collector looking to buy and not get ripped off, or just a hobbyist, any questions you might have about the parts of Fender, Gibson, Rickenbacker, Music Man basses and Ampeg basses and amplifiers is all in there at Vintage Bass World. So check it out. It's really extensive. You know, just the details of what screw, you know, went where and what it looked like, or when the year they changed the design of this, or the year they moved the pickup a quarter inch. It's really geeky, but it's valuable information if you're interested in that.
Hi. I'm Tanya. I'm Dave's wife.
Hi, Tanya. Hi.
I saw I was looking at the Super Bowl. Did you guys play Super Bowl 14?
Oh, I would love to play the Super Bowl, but I've never been asked.
But I seen UFO on a flyer for Super Bowl 14 with Ozzy Osbourne.
I didn't see that, and I was in the band that year, so that's some wishful thinking. Maybe now that you're putting it out there into the universe, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, it would be nice to see you in a Super Bowl.
Thank you. That would be.
Well, it was nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you, too.
So now, as far as bass guitars, what's your go-to bass?
go-to is a 1966 Fender Precision that I bought when Spread Eagle got our advance for our second album, Open to the Public. When we got a couple bucks, I went out and bought that bass, and I still use it for, let me see, I use it with Sebastian Bach for all gigs. I used it on both UFO records. I used it on most Spread Eagle records, including the new one, Subway to the Stars. I used it on Vinny's album that I mentioned I played on, and other sessions I did of people I don't want to mention, but it's my main bass, and it sounds absolutely incredible. I used to buy and sell basses when I was cataloging all this information for Vintage Bass World, and I had about 30 Fender Precisions in my life. No exaggeration. Let's say 25 to 30. Absolutely. But maybe more. And I would just buy them and sell them. And I would always keep the best selling ones and sell the ones that weren't, as good sounding. And this one, no matter how many Precisions I buy and sell or bought and sold, this one is always the best selling one. And it's beat to hell. It's not worth anything because it's been bastardized, but it sounds incredible. So that's my main go-to. But then I started using that in UFO also, but then Phil was hinting that he was looking for a little bit different of a sound. And I knew what he meant because UFO or one of the bands that made the Gibson Thunderbird popular. So I went out and got a 1979 Gibson Thunderbird, and that is my go-to for all UFO shows. And I actually used it on 2 songs on the last UFO record, Salentino Cuts. I used the Thunderbird on 2 songs, but most songs were the Fender Precision.
Now, what kind of rack do you use?
I use, I do a lot of fly-ins and rentals for tours, so I'll use just reissue Ampeg SVTs. But when I have my choice or for recording, I use vintage SVTs from either 1969 through 1972 or 1969 to 71, I would say, is what I use for recording.
Now, if anyone's listening to the interview and they're thinking about, picking up a bass or guitar, either one, what kind of advice would you give that person?
Well, as far as instrument, I would say start with a Fender Precision. It's the most versatile bass, and it'll fit with most types of music the best. And then after, if things go well, then you can branch out and use some other instruments. If you want to collect a couple or have a few different sounds. And advice, I would say, you got to love it. You got to be doing it because you love it, not because you want to get rich. Because it's tough. It's a tough industry to make money in. And practice to a metronome. Practice to a metronome. It seems stiff, but it'll actually teach you how to groove. Because when your meter, your internal natural meter, becomes solid, then you learn to groove better. So always try to practice to a metronome every day.
Now back to Spread Eagle. How did the band name? How the band spread? Okay, go ahead.
Tapes.
What was that?
And don't use backing tapes in your bands. That's a crutch. It'll stunt your development and your growth. Do it for real. Risk sounding a little off because that's how you get good by realizing what needs to be worked on.
No backing tapes. Now going back to Spread Eagle, how did the name Spread Eagle come about?
Well, we had a song called Spread Eagle, but I'm not sure what came first, the name or the song. But I do know for a fact that our manager, Scott Calvert, rest in peace, suggested that be the name of the band. He may have been grabbing it from the song title, or he may have thought of that, and we might have written the song afterwards. It's hard to remember because it's so long ago. But Scott Calvert, he was one of our 2 managers, and he was a video director. He directed our videos for Switchblade Serenade and Scratch Like a Cat. And he also directed Guns N' Roses Live at the Ritz. So he was a very, very great director.
Now, playing with the band UFO on any of the tours, what's been your most embarrassing moment on stage? Have you had one?
I'm sure I have, but I've never fallen off a stage. I don't remember falling down. I remember falling down in Spread Eagle in 1990. That was pretty embarrassing. I was kind of rolling across the stage, and my bass was hitting the ground going clang, clang, clang.
Oh, no.
PA. Yeah. I mean, I remember a couple times being so sick that I would, it's just like flu or something that was very difficult, but I can't think.
How about with Bach? Anything with Sebastian?
I'm sure there's plenty of things. Just off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. I mean, we've played some funny places in every band you've been in. Like, we played some, like, scenes right out of the country and western scene of Blues Brothers the other night, and I've done that with Bach, too. But I'll have to think of ones for when people ask me that question.
We're the good old boys.
Yeah. We play both kinds of music, country and western.
So what's been your favorite tour you've done with UFO?
Favorite tour with UFO, I would probably say the last few, because it just keeps getting bigger and better. And unfortunately, we lost our keyboard player, Paul Raymond, earlier this year. He passed away from a heart attack, and that was really tough to deal with and shocking because he had played 8 days before he passed away. We played in London, our last show in London, and he was kicking ass. So it was very unexpected. But getting back to your question, this whole Last Orders tour, 50th anniversary, has been fantastic. The venues are getting bigger and the crowds are getting louder, and it's just really, you want to be appreciated. You want to reach as many people as possible. So I would have to say this past tour with UFO and with Bach, I would say the South American tour supporting Guns N' Roses.
Now, what would you consider to be the fondest memory of your whole music career?
Probably the Guns N' Roses tours with supporting them with Sebastian Bach. I mean, they were just so massive, like we did shows to 60,000, 70,000 people probably. And we were going on right before them, so we were playing to that many people. So, and they were focused on us, because they're standing in their spots getting ready for Guns N' Roses. So they paid attention, and they were loud and into it. So I would say that's probably one of my most defining, happiest moments. And also playing on, writing songs with UFO and playing on The Conspiracy of Stars. That was another highlight. And also getting a third Spread Eagle record out after 20-something years. It's something I didn't expect to do until recently. And it's turned out to be quite a career achievement. The reviews we're getting, I produced the record, and the reviews we're getting are just through the roof. So check it out. You can find Spread Eagle on YouTube. Spread Eagle Band is our name on YouTube, and on Facebook, Spread Eagle NYC, or just Google Spread Eagle Band anywhere, and tons of stuff will come up. And you can listen to it on Spotify free. But it's... Hold on 1 second, please.
All right.
Okay, I'm back.
Now, do you have any favorite cities to play?
I like playing in South America, in Rio and Sao Paulo. I like playing in Quebec City and Montreal, in Quebec in general. I like playing in New York City, of course. I have to get this. I apologize. You're going to have to edit. Oh, we're live, right?
Yeah.
I'm back.
All right, let me ask you a few more questions, then we'll get done with this. Let me ask you a few fun questions here, then we'll be done. What's your favorite food, Rob?
My favorite food, I like Indian a lot. I like Italian a lot. I like salmon a lot. So they're my favorites.
Favorite beverage?
I like Sierra Nevada Pale Ale and water.
All right, now, do you have a top 3 favorite bands of a lifetime?
I have a lot of them, but let me just pick a few. No, I have not top 3, but I would say Pink Floyd, AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, Aerosmith, Fugazi. That's about 5.
I have a question from a fan. They said, have you guys ever played with Ozzy or Foreigner?
I have not, but UFO has done a lot of touring with Ozzy. They were the support band with Ozzy when Randy Rhoads was killed. They were on that tour as support UFO.
All right, well, Rob, I want to thank you very much for taking time to do this interview.
Thank you, Dave. My pleasure.
And I wish you the best of luck with the rest of the UFO tour.
Thank you. We'll see you in Chicago area.
All right, you have a great day, Rob.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.